Chase Elliott will be racing the SRX at National Fairgrounds. Kyle Larson and Denny Hamlin are not happy with the change or the reconfiguration from Atlanta Motor Speedway, and the ratings in Road America have officially been revealed. What's going on, guys? It's Daniel, and welcome back to the video. We have quite a few NASCAR stories discussed here today on the channel. Let's go and just jump straight into those very, very quickly. We're going to start off with Johnny Klosmeyer, as Johnny Klosmeyer has suspended for one race for this weekend here at Atlanta Motor Speedway due to lug nut violations. He had two lug nuts missing on the car on Chase Briscoe's car, as he is the current crew chief for Chase Briscoe. There were two lug nuts that were missing, therefore he will not be crew chief in this weekend. Michael Cook, who is currently the engineer for Chase Briscoe, is going to be the crew chief this weekend here. I'm not sure if Michael Cook has ever had experience as a crew chief, so I believe this will be the first time that Michael Cook is going to be crew chiefing for Chase Briscoe. Now, hopefully Michael Cook will be able to keep up the momentum that Chase Briscoe has been having, considering Chase Briscoe is coming off a very strong run at Road America. Hopefully he'll be able to help and keep the runs going. Now, I do believe that Johnny Klosmeyer is expected to be returning in next week at New Hampshire. Not this week, but next week in New Hampshire, so he's expected to be back. So I'm wishing them the best of luck. Hopefully Michael Cook can help Chase Briscoe, and hopefully this will not hurt the momentum overall going into this weekend here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. And now we're going to go and jump onto the next story of today's episode, as we are talking about the starting lineups for this weekend's race here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Let's start off with the NASCAR Xfinity Series, as Kyle Busch is going to be starting on the pole after winning last week's race at Road America. Kyle Busch will be starting on the pole. I can't remember exactly who was starting on the front row for that event, but I am going to be picking Kyle Busch to win the NASCAR Xfinity Series race due to the fact that Kyle Busch has won quite a few races this year. He's won every single race that he's ran. He's gone 4 for 4 so far. I think he'll make it 5 for 5. I think you have to also watch out for guys like Justin Allgaier, who won the last time we were here at Atlanta Motor Speedway, and also Austin Cindric, who was really, really strong in the race, and Daniel Hemrick also had a lot of speed. I think those are the guys that are going to be the favorites going to the event, but I'm picking Kyle Busch to win the race. And now let's jump up to the Cup Series. So Chase Elliott and Kyle Busch are going to be on the front row. Chase Elliott and Kyle Busch finished, I think Chase won the race last week, and Kyle Busch finished third last week. So they are starting on the front row for the event. I'm not going to tell you my pick to win the Atlanta Motor Speedway. You have to find out on my channel later this week, actually tomorrow as a matter of fact. But Chase Elliott is going to be starting on the pole for the Cup Series race at Atlanta Motor Speedway. And now we're going to go and jump on to the next story of today's episode, as we are talking about Taylor Gray. As Taylor Gray is going to be making his return to NASCAR and ARCA later this week. Tanner Gray is going to be making his return to ARCA this weekend at Elko Motor Speedway on Saturday night. This will be his first start in the ARCA Series in quite a few weeks, and he'll be making his official Truck Series debut at Watkins Glen. Taylor Gray was anticipated to make his NASCAR Truck Series debut, I believe, at Richmond Speedway, but he was involved in a motorcycle accident, and he's not been able to race. He's been in the middle of rehab, and he's been recovering for the last few months, but he's making his official return. Taylor Gray is only 16 years old, so that's why he's making his Truck Series debut. I'm really excited to see this for sure. Taylor Gray is going to be coming back. I'm not sure how he's going to do. I think he'll do really, really well in ARCA, considering the competition ARCA isn't really that great. I think he'll do really, really well in the ARCA race. I think his goal for the Truck Series debut, when he does go to Watkins Glen in a couple weeks, I think the goal for him is to try to finish in the top 20 or top 25. I know that's really high expectations for your debut, but these DGR trucks have definitely been picking up on speed, so I do think Taylor Gray overall will have a good chance of contending in those events, and I'm wishing him the best luck, and welcome back, Taylor Gray. It's been a while, man. Welcome back to the NASCAR Truck Series and the NASCAR and the ARCA Series as well. And now we're going to go and jump on to the next story of today's episode, as we're talking about Bailey Currey. As Bailey Currey is going to be driving the 15 car for Rick Rowe Racing this weekend here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Originally, the car had been to be determined or to be announced, but now we have confirmation from the starting lineups revealed today that Bailey Currey is going to be driving the 15 for Rick Rowe Racing. I think Bailey Currey is a very, very solid driver, and I think he'll have a very good shot of contending his 15 car for potentially a top 30 run. We've actually seen more recently that Rick Rowe Racing has been kind of trending in more of that direction. We've seen that car of James Davison perform pretty well, and when he's been in the 15 or the 53 or whatever number he's basically been in, he's performing extremely well in this car. So it's really good to see that Bailey Currey is getting back in the 15 car this weekend. I'm glad to see him also back in the Cup Series. I've seen him do very well with Mike Harmon's team in the Xfinity Series. I've also seen him do very well when he's been in the Nice Motorsports Company. So I'm really happy that he is getting back in the NASCAR Cup Series once again in the number 15 car. I think the goal for him would definitely a really good goal for them would be a top 30. I think that's really high goals, but at the same time, I think a top 30 would be really, really good, and hopefully he'll run really well this weekend and give Rick Rowe Racing a very strong run. I think it'd be really good to see for sure that car perform very, very well. And I'm glad that Bailey Currey is getting another opportunity Cup Series. I really like seeing him have a good opportunity somewhere else, maybe like a really, really good team, but that's going to be really tough to tell. And I'm glad to see that Bailey Curry is going to be racing in the Cup Series once again this weekend here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. And now we're going to go ahead and jump on to the next story of today's episode as we are talking about Post Malone. Now, Post Malone is going to be releasing a music video called Motley Crue this Friday. So in a couple of days from now, he's going to be releasing a music video. But if you take a look at the video, there's two familiar faces from the NASCAR Cup Series that are part of this video. Denny Hamlin and Bubba Wallace. They shot the video a week or two ago at Auto Club Speedway. They're having a fire suit that have been revealed from Denny Hamlin, and a lot of people have been speculating there was a really good chance that it was going to be an announcement for an expansion. Well, the truth is that it is going to be a music video coming out, and Cole Bennett, who's one of the best, in my opinion, one of the best producers when it comes to music videos, directors when it comes to music videos as well, and I think this video will be really, really good, by the way. He's going to be directing that video, and that video will be coming out this Friday. And the fact that we have NASCAR becoming mainstream again, and the fact that you have confirmed NASCAR Cup Series drivers in there, like Bubba Wallace, who's become extremely mainstream, and Denny Hamlin, the owner of the team. I think Michael Jordan's probably also going to be part of that video as well. The fact that NASCAR is going mainstream in a music video with Post Malone, who's one of the biggest artists right now with #1 singles, tons of them as a matter of fact. Guy can do multiple different genres of music. The fact that you have someone like Post Malone getting involved and doing something with NASCAR is extremely incredible. I'm really happy about this for sure, and hopefully long term, we can see NASCAR continue to get a lot of this mainstream success. I think a lot of people that are Post Malone fans, most only says a huge fan base, the fact that I think a lot of people may be interested, say, hey, that's Bubba Wallace, that's Denny Hamlin. I may check out the scene and see how it forms. And we may get a lot more eyes on the sport. The fact that Post Malone's getting involved in the sport is absolutely incredible, and I'm really happy about that for sure. Good to see that Post Malone's getting involved in the sport and has a music video coming out. And now we're going to go jump on to the next story of today's episode. Is we're going to go ahead and talk about the Slinger Nationals from this past weekend. So, Luke Funhouse, a 17-year-old driver from the Kawicki Development Program, won last night's 2021, the 42nd running of this event. As a matter of fact, he won last night's Slinger Nationals for the 2021 race. He was able to pass Derek Cross, who ended up finishing, I believe, second in the event. He passed Derek Cross, I believe, around 10 or 20 laps ago, and he was able to pull away and win the event. Let's talk about a couple other notables from the event. Carson Osbar was involved in a crash, I believe, around 670 laps to go with Steve Doerr. He basically ended up, I believe, on top of Steve Doerr. I think it was under Steve Doerr's car. There was a really bad wreck that he was involved in, and it was taken out of the event. He was running in front of that event. Ty Majeski, who pretty much dominated majority of races, also involved in a really, really big wreck as well. He was pretty much going to end up probably contending for the victory, if not winning the event. He was involved in an incident around 50 or 60 laps ago in the event. And Eric Jones, who was running, I believe, was not really having a good night anyways, around 20th, 25th. He also was involved in multiple crashes and finished like 75 laps in that event, so he never really had an opportunity to compete in the event. Now, remember, the winner of these Slinger Nationals is going to basically race in the SRX event. Well, we had confirmation last night from Joseph Strigley, and multiple reporters like Jeff Clough have come out and said that Luke Funhouse is going to be competing in the Slinger, is going to be competing in this weekend's race in the SRX as Slinger. He is going to be the youngest competitor so far in the Slinger Nationals. Haley Deegan have been the youngest competitor. Now, he will be the youngest competitor, and I think Luke Funhouse is going to be very, very fun to watch. I think he honestly has a very strong shot of contending for the victory as well. You're going to have a lot of big names out that event. Haley Deegan's going to be there. I think another guy is going to also be there as well as a regular. So it's really cool to see that Luke Funhouse is getting that opportunity to race. I'm very excited to see him. Maybe if he does really well in the SRX event, because that's going to bring a ton of eyes on that event. Haley Deegan competing in that as well. I think with a lot of eyes on that event. Also, Greg Biffle, I think, is coming back as well as Slinger as well. So you're going to have a lot of eyes on that event as well. And I think this is a huge opportunity for Luke Funhouse, and I'm really excited to see this for sure. And welcome Luke Funhouse to the SRX, and glad to see that he is making his official SRX debut. And if he wins that event, especially with 1 million, 2 million people watching, maybe we'll get an opportunity in NASCAR. I'm not sure, to be honest with you, but it's really cool to see that Luke Funhouse is going to be competing in the SRX event. Really cool to see that news for sure. And now we're going to go jump into the next story of today's episode, as we're going to talk about the Road America TV ratings from this past weekend. It was just revealed by Adam Stern that, according to him, NBC earned a 1.79 rating and 3.078 million viewers for Sunday's NASCAR race at Road America. The jockey made it in America 250, where Chase Elliott was able to pick up his second victory of the 2021 season and pick up his 7th road course win, now becoming the 3rd on NASCAR's all-time win list when it comes to road course. Now, very interesting, also reported that last year's 4th of July race, which was the Brickyard 400, earned a 2.7 rating and 4.343 million viewers. Now, for a major NBC race, that is not very, very good, considering National, when they returned to National for the first time in 10 years, in NASCAR, first time the Cup Series had raced in nearly 30 years. I believe that the National race a lot earlier this year got like 2.7 or 2.8 million viewers on NBCSN. So for the fact that this race only got a little over 3 million viewers on main NBC is not really good, to be honest with you. But I want to hear, let me hear you out. Let me say something really, really quick and why I think the ratings are kind of down for this event. First of all, you did unlike this year. Last year, a lot of people could not go outside. A lot of families were not able to head together because we were getting a little bit better from the COVID-19 pandemic at the time, but you did have the COVID-19 pandemic going on, and a lot of people were really, really afraid of it at that time back in July. So that was a big reason why we unfortunately had a lot of people staying indoors. And also, of course, the Brickyard, it's Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and a lot of people are going to tune into Brickyard 400, even if the racing's not really good. The race was not great last year. You have a lot of people who are going to tune into Indianapolis because, again, it's Indianapolis Motor Speedway, which is a very prestigious event. And the Brickyard 400 on the main NBC is going to help that event overall a lot. You also did have the Indy NASCAR doubleheader going on at time as well on the road course as well. So that was another thing that really, really helped overall throughout the weekend as well. Another major thing is road course races generally do not do fantastic when it comes to the TV ratings. And because of that, I think that also is a major thing because remember the Daytona road course race didn't get ultimately the best ratings of all from that event. That also did get affected. Daytona 500 wasn't really great as well. But road course racing and short track races, even though the racing was great, that also gets affected as well. Also, a lot of people this weekend went out this year because last year they really couldn't. This year, with everything opening up to this point, and with everything getting much better in this country when it comes to the COVID-19 pandemic, a lot more people this year decided to go out. I went out, as a matter of fact, this weekend. I actually had to work during the NASCAR Cup Series race when that was going. I tried to watch as much as I could at my job. But you had that going on as well. So that was another major key thing right there. So even though the ratings are not great, I still think we should come back to Road America. Also, you have to remember that there were estimates saying that between 125,000 people were there, and they were estimating, some people were saying that 300,000 people were at the event. So you had a lot of people that were going to this event as well. So I think that's a few reasons why the ratings are down. I would expect the event's probably going to do better in the ratings next year. I think also NBC needs to be doing a little more promotion than they did. I think that will overall help the issues with the Road America TV ratings. But those are the Road America TV ratings. Hopefully we can start going much better in the trends of this weekend's race in Atlanta, even though it's on NBCSN. Hopefully the trends for this weekend go up and we'll see some decent racing in Atlanta Motor Speedway. Maybe we'll see some decent racing ratings overall for this weekend's race at Atlanta Motor Speedway. And now we're going to jump onto the first of two major stories in today's episode, as we are talking about Chase Elliott. As Chase Elliott is going to be racing the SRX next weekend in the season finale for the event on July 17th at the National Fairgrounds. He is going to become the first full-time NASCAR Cup Series driver to compete in the event. He's also going to become the second active NASCAR driver to compete in the event, as Hailie Deegan also has raced now once. She'll be raced this weekend at Slinger, but he'll be the second driver in NASCAR that's currently competing in the NASCAR Cup NASCAR Series to be racing in the SRX. This also is going to be, this race is basically being paved as the event between Bill versus Chase, and this is only going to be the second time that Chase and Bill are racing against each other. The last time Bill and Chase basically raced against each other, I think was in a super late model in the All-American Series back in 2013. I can't remember exactly which track it was. What is back in 2013 when Chase was moving up through the ranks, that Bill and Chase raced against each other. This is really, really huge for the SRX that Chase Elliott is coming into the race event. First of all, I think Chase Elliott is going to be one of the favorites going into that event, considering I think Chase Elliott is going to have a ton of speed in that event. And as being a guy that just recently won as a 2020 NASCAR Cup Series champion, this is going to bring also a ton of eyes on the event as well, because you look at the IMSA ratings. Yes, Jimmy Johnson was there, and a lot of people watched because of Jimmy Johnson. But I think Chase Elliott had a huge effect on the IMSA TV ratings as well. When Chase Elliott goes out and goes to events, a lot of his fans, and remember, Chase Elliott is the most popular NASCAR Cup Series driver, so a lot of people are going to go out and tune into that event regardless, because remember, look at the Chili Bowl this year. A lot of people didn't even tune into the Chili Bowl before this year, and you had a lot of new fans tune into these dirt races because Chase Elliott was part of it. Chase Elliott being a part of these events is major, and even Ray Abraham is extremely happy with him because he's worked with Chase and he's worked with Bill Elliott for a long time. He worked with Bill Elliott when Bill Elliott drove for his team for the first couple years when he's with Dodge. So this is really great to see that Chase Elliott's getting an event, and I would not be surprised if the season finale of National Fairgrounds, considering I think there's going to be a lot more people that are going to tune an event, I would not be surprised if this is going to be the first event for the SRX that ends up going over to almost 2.5 million viewers. I would not be shocked, and we see incredible ratings for the SRX this week. Considering the ratings have been really, really good so far for the SRX, the fact that they are bringing Chase Elliott to run in the SRX this weekend, I think is going to be really huge. And I think he honestly could contend with guys like Ernie Francis Jr., Tony Stewart, Bobby Labonte. I think the drivers that are really, really good in this event, I think the more competition with drivers like Chase Elliott, the better for the event. I would expect Chase Elliott to be a really strong contender for the event, and I'm really happy to see that this guy right here, Chase Elliott, is going to be in the SRX. This is really, really good that you have in the series. Everyone says this is an old man series, but the fact that we got another young driver coming into this event is really, really cool. And I wanted Chase Elliott or another Cup Series driver to run this year. We're going to get that, and it's the guy that's the most popular driver. So great to see that Chase Elliott is going to be running the SRX, and I think that he'll have a very strong shot of contending the SRX, and I think he honestly overall could win. I think he could win National Fairgrounds, and because plus he's a really good short track racer, and I think that we'll see Chase Elliott be really, really strong in this event, and I'm glad to see that Chase Elliott is going to be running in the SRX. And now we're going to go and jump onto the final major story of today's episode as we're talking about a couple drivers that are not generally happy with NASCAR and the Atlanta repave. Now, it was announced yesterday that Atlanta Motor Speedway was going to be repaved starting right after the Cup Series race is concluded this weekend here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. And they're going to be starting construction on that right after the race is concluded. And they are going to have this done in October. They're going to try to do some friction test stuff. They also use iRacing for that. Now, really, a lot of people are not angrily upset with the fact they're repaving it. A lot of the anger yesterday came from the fact of what Steve Swift said yesterday about how they basically did not consult with the drivers yesterday. And they basically said that, the fans matter a lot more. Technically, what he's basically saying was, we care about what the fans want than what the drivers want. Well, there were a couple barely high-key profile NASCAR drivers that were not happy. Let's start off with Kyle Larson's comments from yesterday. He said, I wish they would have talked to everybody about it. We have more experience than the fans. I've raced hundreds of different racetracks. I feel like we have a better understanding of what really makes good racing. And then he also basically said, fans really like crashing more on 40 feet and will be close together. And also said basically that fans like crashing a lot more than that. Then later in the evening, Denny Hamlin had some very interesting comments. He was also in Racing Space and brought up comments. We're not going to talk about that. But there was one tweet that he basically brought up from that comment. He basically said, with all due respect, this same group has reconfigured Texas, Kentucky, Bristol with zero driver input. One of these lost a race. Another one, we don't race anymore. And last one, we put dirt over it. But hey, what do drivers know? I honestly said this yesterday, too, about these comments. I 100% agree with Denny Hamlin, and I 100% agree with Kyle Larson here. I think that drivers honestly need to be having more of an input when it comes to these decisions, when it comes to these racetracks, than basically they do get. The fact that they had no input toward Kentucky, and Kentucky turned into one of the worst races I've ever seen pretty much every single year. And we lost race at Kentucky because drivers got tired of the racing, and NASCAR basically put on some really, really bad shows. Texas Motor Speedway, when they were reconfigured in 2017, turned into some of the worst racing I've ever seen on a racetrack. The Cannon Pass, it turned into a single group track. IndyCar's also been ruined. That was also another SMI track. Eddie Gossett played a part of that as well. But that also was affected. And then Bristol, when they basically turned it into that progressive banking stuff, eventually put PG on the track at that help. But for many, many years, the racing sucked. And they turned the spring race basically into a dirt race because there were not a lot of people going out to the spring event. And I think that overall did affect the outcome of the racing. I said this yesterday, say this again. I bring up also some comments from Brad Keselowski. Brad Keselowski also basically said this too a couple years ago, that drivers are going to start becoming extremely unhappy, and they're eventually going to leave. This was, of course, with the 550 horsepower package. And basically what Atlanta said yesterday is they want to turn this into basically a mini super speedway, and they basically want pack racing and want the pack to be closer together. Denny Hamlin also said yesterday as well that you're not going to exactly get, you have to lower the horsepower to get pack racing. I think they want pack racing at Atlanta Motor Speedway because they're making it narrow. I think drivers know a lot more I said this yesterday on Twitter too. I think drivers know a lot more when it comes to racing than a bunch of people in suits. I guarantee you a majority of these people that are basically running the operations in NASCAR, I think a lot of these people have never raced a race car in their lives, but they're the ones that are making the decisions. I would rather see drivers like Kyle Larson or Denny Hamlin making decisions for the sport. And then, of course, you have people like, well, the guys in charge and they have to figure. Well, drivers, I think, eventually are going to leave the sport if NASCAR continues to make some decisions that they're making. I mean, why do you think Jimmy Johnson left NASCAR to go over to IndyCar? I think, of course, he did want to race IndyCar. Really made comments right after basically saying that he wasn't a big fan of the 550 horsepower package. He'd rather have the more of the 750 horsepower package, even 900 horsepower on the track. And I think even though he's struggling in IndyCar right now, I think he's enjoying it a lot more than the direction NASCAR is. Let's be for real. Jimmy Johnson struggled the last few years in NASCAR. Really started around the time they brought this new package in. He absolutely started struggling, and a lot of drivers are not fans of package. We've had drivers like Kyle Busch not be happy with the racing. We've had drivers like Kevin Harvick and Brad Keselowski come out against the racing overall. And to me, the direction that NASCAR overall is going right now is not what a lot of the drivers want. And even a lot of fans are not even big fans of this. I personally don't want to see super speedway racing on an intermediate track. I don't want to see pack racing on an intermediate track because that's not fun and that is not entertaining to see every single lap. If you want pack and intermediate racing, go out to a super speedway like Daytona and Talladega. Or if you want to really reconfigure it to a super speedway, just turn the track into 2 or 3 mile track because I think that would actually be more interesting if they did that. But I'm not a fan of bringing turning intermediate racing into pack racing because that's not entertaining and that's not fun to watch every single lap. I'm not going to enjoy that, and you're not going to get that in every single lap. And we've not seen the next gen car race. Again, I have no problem with Atlanta being repaved because I personally think Atlanta Motor Speedway has been needing a repave for a very, very long time. Don't get me wrong. But I think when you have drivers that are not even consulted, that drives me crazy. If you're going to make decisions like this, you have to consult with the drivers. You got to consult with them so they know what's going on. And like I said, this is not the first time that they have not consulted with drivers. To me, when it comes to decisions like this, they need to consult with the drivers. They need to consult with them because I think the drivers matter a ton more and that's just my opinion, honest opinion of that. It's really, really frustrating and really irritating that they not consult with the drivers. And you have a lot of angry and upset drivers right now because of that. So, anyway, that is it for today's NASCAR news video. Thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, notifications so you're notified when a video does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Support page as well. Link description below for that. And comment your thoughts on today's video. What are your thoughts about Chase Elliott racing the SRX? And do you think he'll win his event at National Fairgrounds or not? Let me know in the comments below. And what are your thoughts about the Kyle Larson and Denny Hamlin comments? And do you think that they are right or not? Let me know in the comments below. Anyway, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's video. And I'll see you guys next time for some more great and awesome NASCAR content. Take care, everybody.